Today is the best day ever, and no matter how much nursing sucks, there's always a future good day.
That right there is why I went into that profession. I loved it so much, every single aspect of it.
But then coronavirus happened and everything changed. Yeah, there's a pandemic. Yeah, our practicum got canceled. Yeah, we might not get our pinning or our commencement or any other thing, but it's okay. Okay, yeah, I totally broke down after seeing that I passed. Oh my gosh, I just can't believe I don't have to do this again. My name's Kata. I'm a nurse recently. All right, so let's talk about the first time I lost a patient. I just felt like I wasn't any more important than a nail on the wall that could easily be replaced if it got bent. Hello everyone, this is Kata again. I have not uploaded a video since like June, since last year. 2020 was a very crappy year. I cannot overemphasize how crappy that year was. It was so full of disappointment and frustration and uncertainty and some excitement too from new things, starting a job, finishing my career. That was great. If you haven't seen any of my videos, quick recap. I'm originally from Chile, moved to America in 2016 for nursing school. Finished school May 8th, 2020, so I graduated in the middle of a pandemic, or more like I didn't graduate in the middle of a pandemic because our graduation was canceled and our pinning ceremony was canceled, and I moved to Tennessee to work in a telefloor type thing. I worked there for a grand total of 8 months. 8 months. And here's what happened. I started working, I had a whole week of just like classroom sit down orientation, and I was part of the residency program, which basically meant once every 2 weeks we went to a classroom instead of work and just talked about policy stuff. And my preceptorship lasted 2 months. It should have lasted 3, and this was not administration's or management's fault. This was my choice. I am very self-taught and I'm a quick learner, and if people are over hovering me, I don't thrive. So after 2 months, I felt pretty prepared and I was pretty ready to just go out there on my own and just do my own thing. So I asked my manager to pull me out of orientation early. I also did 2 months of orientation on day shift, 1 week on night shift, and then I was on my own. So night shift was a lot easier than day shift. So I just want to emphasize that I was not just thrown out into the lions without preparation. That was my choice. So that's not why I quit my job. But what happened is, the first month out of orientation was great. I honestly loved it. I loved the people that I worked with. I loved the rapport that I had with the CNAs there. I'm someone that's very direct. I like to say things in a very direct way and just matter of fact. Like, I'll just walk up to my CNA and be like, hey, have you taken blood sugars? Because if not, I'll do it. So my techs knew that if I was saying, hey, did you take your blood sugar? That doesn't mean, hey, I expect that you have by now, but it means, hey, did you? Like, do you need help? Do you want me to do it? It's a pretty much yes or no answer. There's no small print in there in my questions. And my techs, I think they liked me. I loved them. We had a very good understanding. I worked very well with them, with my coworkers. I knew you kind of learn who to trust, who to not, who to rely on for help, who not to bother. You know, you kind of learn that. And so I really liked my unit. It was PACU, and sometimes we had COVID patients, which sucked because you had to wear all the PPE, but I was used to it and I liked it. I really enjoyed it. However, a month after I was on my own, they started floating me, which basically means they would pull me out of my unit where I knew the people and I knew where everything was and I was used to it and which kind of patients and the patient load. I was used to all that and the manager, everything. And they would pull me anywhere in the hospital where someone was needed. Which at first that would happen once a week, twice a week. And then it got to a point where it was every single shift. I mean, the level of anxiety that I was experiencing every single time I was driving to work and I would see the building. I would just get heart palpitations just looking at it, because I would never know who I was going to work with, where I was going to work, how many patients I was going to take care of. I mean, it could have been 3, it could have been 7, and those 2 happened. I mean, 3 with 2 admissions, or 7. Every time I was pulled into a new unit, I had to learn where everything was, who everything was, who was in charge, the way that the techs worked. They had to relearn me, I had to learn them. It was rough, and it wasn't like I was floated to the same place regularly. It was everywhere all the time. I don't think there's a single unit in that hospital that I didn't get floated to. And it got really rough. It really took a toll on me. And most of the units that I got floated to were COVID units. I understand that this was an emergency and that COVID made everything different. I know. And really, I don't have that many problems with that hospital's management. I really don't. This was a very difficult situation, and some people got it harder than others. The reason that I was always floated is because I wasn't core staff. Core staff meaning the hospital went out, hired people, they work in that unit. I was outsourced. I was hired by a recruiting agency. And because of that, I was considered a traveler. And travelers are there in a hospital to fix the hospital's staffing problems. You know what I mean? So core staff, they work there. They've been hired by the hospital. They're paid whatever, 30 an hour, to say whatever number, 30 an hour. And then, I mean, the hospital pays $30 an hour to have them there. However, travelers, the hospital pays like $60 an hour, but those 60 don't go in the pocket of the nurse. The nurse sees whatever, 30, 20, 40? I don't know, depends on the agency, but the rest goes to the agency for providing that nurse. So because I was considered a traveler, I wasn't seen as a new nurse, which I was. I was a new nurse. I needed support, I needed familiarity, I needed grounding, you know? I mean, I started in the middle of a pandemic. I feel like that was literally hitting the ground running, and I needed some more babying. I know that I said previously that I don't like the over hovering, and that's true. But at the same time, I needed to be able to be vulnerable and to be weak and to make mistakes. And for there to be people around me that knew that and knew me. And when I was in my unit, like whenever I would get to work and I would look at the assignment sheet and it would say that I was in my own unit, oh man, that was a good day. Like, it was an utter joy. You can ask any of my coworkers. I would look and I'd be like, yes, I'm here. Relief, because I knew that meant I get to count on these people, and they knew that I was new, and they knew what I could do and what I couldn't, and they knew that when I would ask for help, it was such a different situation. But when I would go into another unit that wasn't my own, and I asked for help, sometimes that would make people look at me like, do you not know? Like, your patients are in danger because you don't know. And I just did not encounter very many good situations. And to begin with, this wasn't even the job that I wanted, okay? I am into women's health. If I could have chosen my first job, I would have worked at a postpartum unit. You know, what was I doing with COVID patients? I didn't belong there. That's not what I was passionate about. So already to begin with, I wasn't really enjoying the work itself. Second, all that unpredictability. Third, what I was talking about at the beginning of this video is, and I have spoken to several nurses who tell me that this was their experience as well. When you work in a hospital as a unit nurse, you're not seen so much as this individual person with feelings, a personal life, family, loved ones. You're seen as a cog in a machine. You're just a part of the system, and we need you to work, you know? And you constantly have to ask for permission to live your life the way you want to live it, you know? Like, for example, I would call in, one time I called in because my husband was having chest pain and we had to rush to the emergency room. Turns out he was fine, but that was just before my shift and it was really bad pain. And so I called in. I was already wearing my scrubs. I called in. I said, I'm so sorry. I know I have a shift right now. I'm rushing to the emergency room. My husband's having chest pain. And the lady says, okay, but you're coming to work, right? No. my husband's having chest pain. So it's that kind of thing. Whenever I would ask for time off, like in advance, I always got it, okay? I want to make that very clear. Whenever I asked for vacation or a specific circumstance, the charge nurse would always make that happen. And my manager was always very nice. I would ask her like, hey, you know, I don't want to work 3 days in a row, 4 days in a row, or hey, can I do day shift, night shift, day shift, night shift? And she would always say yes. So they were fantastic about that. But so the people that know you, they are really nice about that. But the people above, they're just like, you need to be here working like 24/7. And on top of all this, there was also a specific person in power above me who did not treat me nice. And that's as much as I can say about that without getting very specific and very frustrated on camera in front of the whole internet world. But anyway, so 5 months into that situation, I started just praying and telling God how frustrated and unhappy I was. I was losing a lot of weight, then I was gaining a lot of weight, and I don't know how I was gaining it because I was not eating. I was either working or recovering from work. There was no in between. It was either actively at work or either sleeping or mentally processing everything that had happened during work, people dying and that manager treating me terrible. And I had no room for social life. Like, people would reach out, be like, hey, you want to grab a cup of coffee? I can't because on my free time, on every second I can spare, I need to be processing. And that was a miserable life. So I started praying, and God put this idea in my heart to go back to Chile, which is where I'm originally from. So I mentioned this to my husband, and we prayed about it, and we talked to a lot of people about it, and here I am. This is my new apartment in Chile. We moved in February, and I have now been here for almost 3 months. It is now May 8th. And I am so much happier. Oh my goodness, I am so much happier now. I am still working as a nurse, but I'm not working as a unit nurse. I was hired into a genetic studies clinic, and I'm currently studying to become a genetics counselor, a reproductive and prenatal genetics counselor. So I am going to be in women's health. It's not how I thought I was going to be in women's health. Sometimes the Lord works in mysterious ways, and He has different ways of achieving our dreams. And I'm honestly so happy about the choice to have quit my job and moved countries. Do I miss America? Yes, sometimes I do. I miss my friends. Today, May 8th, a year ago was supposed to be our graduation ceremony, and today, May 8th, my classmates had their graduation ceremony. Actually, they did it a year later, and they got like a whole reunion, and I'm not there, so that's really sad and nostalgic. And sometimes I ponder over all the things I lost and didn't get to enjoy, but to each their own cross to bear. There's so many more thoughts in my head, but I don't think that you want me to bore you with that. I just wanted to come in here and make that announcement, and not because I think you care about my life, but because I think there's so many people out there, not just nurses, who are thinking, wow, I am miserable at my job and I might need to quit. And maybe this is a sign or a push or a nudge for you to do that. Yeah. Without further ado, I'm out.